Hey everybody, I'm Barb, Owen of HowToGetCreative.com, and we're here for another episode of What Is? And I have a special guest today, Clausman. He has a name, believe it or not. His name is RL. He goes by his initials, but we like to call him Clausman. And Clausman gets that name because he carves a lot of Santa Clauses at the winter time around here. And so he just gets stuck with that name, and that's where it came from. But anyway, RL, aka Clausman, has another hobby, and that is wire tying or wire wrapping or wire sculpting. And I don't know why it's called all those three things. But anyway, we're going to answer the question today. What is wire wrapping, wire tying, or wire sculpting? So, tell them a little bit about what you think wire wrapping is.
Well, wire wrapping is wire wrapping and wire sculpting and wire tying all go together pretty well.
They're kind of like interchangeable names for about the same thing, right?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Now, a real wire sculpting, something that's really wire sculpted, I think you've got something over here to show that can be fancier. It can be.
It's got more doo-dah-ditties on it.
A lot of details, of details on it, and that it doesn't have to have. Honestly, it doesn't have to have that to be wire sculpting.
Yeah.
So you just the terms really kind of go together, but yet on the other hand, they're different.
Okay, why don't you show them a couple of examples down here that we have on ready to show them.
Okay, both of these are the same stones. I'm not sure what they are, but they're same stones and the same, not no size, of course, but this is copper wire on this side, and this one is brass wire. And what I'm going to do here today is with copper wire, with a little larger piece than this, because I think it will show up just a little bit better on the camera, and I think the copper wire shows just a little bit better.
Okay, show them what kind of wire you're going to be working with.
All right, the wire I'm going to be working with is just 22 gauge copper wire from the hardware store.
And this one?
And that one is 22 gauge brass wire. You can't even see any of the. Yeah, there's none of the nothing left on here to tell you exactly what it is, but that's what it is 22 gauge brass.
And the brass and the copper are the same diameter.
They're the same diameter, but the brass is a lot harder than the copper, so it doesn't bend as easily, especially when you're in real tiny areas like this. It doesn't bend as easily as the
So
copper.
If somebody wants to try this out, probably copper would be their best choice to start with.
I would recommend copper. Yes, I would, because it's softer and a little easier to work with in some ways, and I would say it's probably a little cheaper even. You know, if that means anything, but you know, you're not going to have a lot of money spent anyway, because these just come from the hardware store.
Yeah, they're not jewelry grade.
No, they're not jewelry grade.
But they're really great for learning and practicing with, and they make some really beautiful pieces too.
They do. They really do.
Okay, so show us how you get started.
Okay.
How you started this process.
All right, what I did, this is a piece that I started. This down on the bottom, this on the bottom is two pieces of wire that I put together like this, and then went around like that.
And that's a separate piece of wire that you've used
This
there,
is a
right?
separate piece of wire that I used, but I went around like that. And part of what that does, well, what it does, it holds these two wires together.
Mm-hmm.
And
after you wrap it, then what do you do?
After I wrapped it around, I come back to about the center of between those two wires and cut that off. So now what I have is two wires that are
That you can spread apart.
That I can spread apart like that. Now, if I wanted to put these on some sort of something like this, well, I'll show you what I did here. That's exactly what I did here. Put this part on the bottom of this, and then spread these around. And so one of the wires is going on each side of this stone.
And so that makes like a little cage. It's like a little cage that holds the stone.
Exactly.
Right? The two wires.
Yes.
And then I notice you've got some more wraps up here.
Right. I've got the same wrap, the same kind of wrap as I did on this, and like I did at the bottom. Not quite as long, not quite as many wraps. And I went up here and wrapped around it. And wrapped around up here. And that holds it together up there. So I can go around the top corners.
To make a cage, right?
To make a cage.
So it's a cage to hold your stone, to encase it.
Yes.
Cool.
That's exactly right.
And then what did you do up here?
Now this up here, I just went up with my 4 wires that came up 2 from this side, 2 from this side, and then I wrapped 2 of them around and together, twisted them together.
So they're all twisted.
They're all twisted together now, just to hold everything in place.
Okay, now what happens?
All right, now there's a couple of things we could do. What I'm going to do here on this one, let's see, where's my... Okay, I think what I'm going to do here is take these 2 wires. Where's my round nose pliers? I guess I'm going to bend these 2 wires over like that.
So you made a loop.
So I made a loop. Uncross that wire. So now I've got a loop. And I'm going to go around this with one of those other wires a couple of times.
So the loop then allows you to hang it someplace.
Hang it up somewhere. Or,
so you can hang it in a window, or
right, exactly.
If a person wanted to make it into a statement necklace, they could do
that. They could do that too. Now, there's a number of things that could be done here now. These could literally be pulled around and clipped off, which I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clip these off.
Because you've twisted them several times around.
I twisted them several times. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to clip them off, and then I'm going to try to hide the ends of them just a little bit. So what I'll do is take those ends and just roll them around underneath some of these other wires so they just kind of hide.
Can't get a hold of this wire. Got it.
Okay, now this one, these 2, I'm going to leave there. Or, I'll tell you what, let's take them separately. I'm going to come down a ways, and I'm going to start around here like this.
Can you move your hands up here just a little bit more?
Okay.
There you go.
I'm going to start around here like this.
So you're just kind of twisting them into
I said I was. It just, the stone is not smooth.
So you're holding it with one hand and twisting
twist it
with
around
the other.
with the other one.
Like making a spiral, I think, right?
Kind of, uh-huh. I like that. Now, that could be left just like that.
There you go.
Clip it off, and I think that's what I'll do.
Okay.
If I had a pair of killers, I'd cut them off right here. And then I can take the tip of this end of this wire, and roll it under to just kind of hide it.
So those pliers act like your fingers, don't they?
Right, exactly.
Except they get into places that your fingers are too big.
That's absolutely true. Okay, now what I think I'll do, I think I'll go down a little bit farther and take another one, take this other one, and go around like this.
So you're doing essentially
and
a
I'm
similar
doing essentially
thing.
the same thing as I just did.
And when you run out of wire, you're done,
When
right?
I run out of wire, I'm done is true. Okay, I'm going around here. I'm going to pull this around and twist that back around that way. Then I'm going to put this wire, well, let's do it this way. Let's go over the top of that. And turn it down.
Oh, so you're making a little hook.
I'm making a hook.
And that hooks onto
And
the
that
wire
will hook
it's
onto
beside.
that wire. Now, I really wouldn't have to make that hook. I wouldn't have to do that. Wouldn't have to fasten that to that wire.
It's kind of cool, though.
But it, if you can get it crimped down, it's cool. Sometimes it's a little bit hard.
Well, it's especially hard when you're having a million people watch you.
Yeah, right.
I know how that
You would
is.
have to say that.
Well, we don't have a million. It's okay.
Okay. And that's what it boiled down, that's what it ended up with.
Cool. Okay. Move it over.
Now,
And here, move it over here just so they can see. So go
Okay.
over to your left.
over here.
Look in see the monitor there? Come this way a little bit. There you go. A little bit more. A little bit more. Wait a minute. Sorry. This is where we need to be looking. Watch this one. There you go. There we go. Okay.
All right.
Now you'll see over there.
Okay, this is what I did. You can
There
see
you go.
underneath there, that's where I started. And then
That's
went
cool.
around here and went up and through this piece, these wires right here that I wrapped around. Did the same thing here, only the ones I wrapped around are up on top of that, which is fine. I mean, if you're wanting something that's totally symmetrical, then you have to do some measuring that, and now, some of these wires in here, see these crooks, these, where these are like this, where they're like that, I did that to put some tension on, to shorten the wire actually, and I did it with a pair of pliers. Just went in here like this. Well, I'll do one up here. I just twisted it like that.
And it
that-
adds a design element
And
too.
that it adds a design as well as
There you go.
put
Yeah,
some
see,
tension on it.
This is what he just did right up,
Right up there.
right
Uh-huh.
up here.
Uh-huh.
That's the one that he just did.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Now, this up here, I would say, if you want to, you could pull that open a little bit or not, whatever you want to do. And if it doesn't line up just the way you want it, put your round nose pliers back in there and
Just shape it.
just shape it a little bit.
That's great.
Okay, that's what we ended up doing. And we started with a stone like this, and
Added some wire.
some 22 gauge copper wire. And you can see this one is totally different. 9 times out of 10, they will come out different than the last one, even if you intend them to be the same.
Well, that's just art. That's all that is.
And this one, I may have told you, this one is brass wire. Okay.
Beautiful. Okay, we're going to switch places
All right.
here. And I'm going to show you these other pieces. Thanks, Clausman. That was great.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're just going to switch places, and I'm going to show you some of these pieces that Clausman has done. I'm going to give you a little look-see. This is the one he just did. So we're just going to look at this up close a little bit more.
You're better at the camera than I am.
Well, that's just because I've been doing it for a little bit longer. My hands don't look a bit better than yours, though, by the way. Our hands look about the same. We're both working people. Here's the other one that done in the brass wire, just so you can see. So you can see these really interesting little embellishments that he's done in here with the wires. So here's the embellishment up here. So this is wire wrapping. So he's wrapped the wires around the stones, and the stone, the shape of the stone, that's what calls for what's going to happen to the wire. So you literally wrap the wire around the piece and embellish it just like that. So really interesting pieces. Okay, I have some other pieces to show you. You don't have to always wrap stones. So I have some other little pieces to show you here. These are pieces of beveled glass. So this is, if you can see from the side, perhaps this has a bevel. I'm trying to catch there you go. You can see the light glinting on, shining on that. That's a piece of beveled glass. And what we've attached to the back is a piece of some of my paste paper or jelly print papers, depending. And that's showing through the glass. So you get some of Clausman's beautiful wire wrapping, and you get some of my pretty paste papers on some of these. So there's one. Here's another one. And you can see some of the wire wrapping is more elaborate than others. Some of them are very simple. Some of them include quite a few interesting. This is another one that has lots of interesting nooks and crannies and twists and turns in the wire. And you can see along the edge here, there's some braided wire. So he's done some braiding techniques along there, along the edge, as well as the wrapping to hold the wires together and the wrapping to hold the piece together. So there's that one. These are some glass. I don't know what these pieces were. Glass, they're like little glass bricks of some kind. Do you remember what these were?
I don't know what they were.
Yeah. Anyway, we bought a whole bunch of them someplace, and so we did this. He did the same thing. We glued the paper to the back, so it shows through the glass. And then this one has the brass and the copper on the same piece, so you can combine the different wires on the same piece. Here's another one. This one doesn't have any of the paper on it. So by having no paper, you see through the piece. And this glass has an aurora borealis effect, so it has kind of a rainbow effect that catches the light, which is really neat. Here's one more. Same kind of thing. These are those glass kind of brick type shapes with paper on the back. Okay, let me show you a few more stones here. So here is an interesting stone wrapped in brass. So this has really got some cool wrapping. This is a real cage type thing that's on this one to encase that stone. Here is a cabochon type stone. So it's much flatter. It's been highly polished, done in copper. This is just kind of a river rock, but look how it elevates when you wrap it with wire. It gives it an elevated look, an interesting texture. And this is a similar stone to what he was wrapping, Clausman was wrapping here today. You don't always have to wrap stones. You can wrap found objects. This is a coin. This is a coin from some other country. I don't know what country it's from. Maybe somebody in the chat will know, or in the viewers. You can leave a comment if you know what country that's from. This one is also a coin, but it's been domed. So it's been put in a dapping block to create the dome shape. And look at the braiding that he's done along the edge. So this combines braiding and wrapping for this piece. And I think this is a shark's tooth?
No, it's a bear tooth.
Bear tooth, okay. Bear tooth. Well, I didn't know. Did you go fight a bear to get this? I don't even know where that came from.
I don't know how I got it.
Here's another found object. I don't know where this came from. Do you know what this? We don't know what this is, right?
No.
It's a very thick piece of, I think it's glass. It's thick. It's concave. One side's convex, the other side's concave. We put a piece of paper on the back. This is the paste paper. He's done more of this braiding technique with the wires along the side. And it makes such an interesting piece because of that, the shape of the glass, the thickness of the glass, and how it magnifies the colors from the paper. And then here are some marbles. Now these are examples of wrapping with a real cage. So this is a cage that goes all the way around those marbles. So lots of wires wrap and hold those marbles in place, and then a piece of sea glass at the bottom wrapped with wire. And then here's a collection of 3 marbles put together. But they're really beautiful, the way that you see the marbles peeking through the cages of the wire, and then all the embellishment at the top with the wires. And then one more, this is a single marble in a cage with the wraps at the top and the twisted wires to form the loop at the top. So these can be used, what I use these for is I hang them in the windows because I think they're just beautiful hanging in the windows. And of course they could be used as statement pieces on necklaces. You can also get glass globs, and so these are flat on the back, domed on the front, and these, many times you'll find these in the plant departments at craft stores. And once again, we've put paper on the back, on the flat side, and then he's wrapped them with copper wire. So this is wire wrapping with copper wire. Here's another one, a little smaller piece with the paper on the back, and a little larger loop at the top with the embellishment right up here at the very top. So I think that's really neat. And then here's some other pieces. These are a little more elaborate with the wire work in some ways. This might be considered wire sculpting just because they have a little more elaborate wire work on them. This piece is a cameo, and this one is wrapped in 24 karat gold filled wire. And this is square wire. The whole thing is square wire, where what the wires that he was working with today are round. These are square. This is a square wire. So that's one piece. Here's another one. This is a piece of tiger eye. This is done in brass square wire. This is some kind of a pearl. I've forgotten the name of this kind of pearl. And this is a pin, and this is done with brass wire. The brass and the gold-filled wire look quite different in color from each other. You might be able to see it more on the contrast of these two. The gold-filled is always a paler color of wire. The brass wire is always a more yellow, brightly colored wire. So this is gold-filled, this is brass, and this is copper around hematite. This is a hematite cabochon. You can see how you can take a small cabochon, and if you add enough doodahs with the wire around it, you can turn it into a much bigger piece. And then one more piece, this is a piece of glass. This is fused glass wrapped with brass. So those are some of the pieces, giving you a wide range of examples of wire sculpting. And here's another piece. This one's done in silver. This is a slice of a geode, and so this is sterling silver wire, square wire, and very pretty on the back too. This is where he's used the wraps to wrap those wires together. So this is sterling silver square wire. So those are some of the pieces of of our different wire wrapping and wire sculpting pieces here, I want to show you real quickly a couple of books. So if you enjoy this kind of thing, or you're inspired and you want to delve into it more, just a couple of books that might give you some inspiration. Creative Wire Jewelry by Kathy Peterson. And in here I'll show you just a couple of ideas. So here are some pendants, and here she has included beads with the wire that she's wrapped around. I think that's a piece of glass. And here's another small piece of wire, or a small piece of glass that's been wire wrapped, and then some other embellishments added to it. And here are more of the pieces of glass incorporated with the beads and the wire incorporated to go around them, so they're wrapped that way. And then one more idea from this book: you can wire wrap rings. So you can incorporate beads with the wire and wrap the wires together and make a ring. So that is one little bit of inspiration. This is another one that goes more along the lines of this type of wire wrapping, like this. It's a little more complex as far as all of the little twists and turns and spirals and so forth. That's a little bit more along the line of this book, this artist's work, Wirework by Cougar Armstrong. So this is a beautiful piece. Here's another one of her bracelets, and this is that front piece, the cover piece, this bracelet that's absolutely stunning. And here's another bracelet and another one. I mean, I can't even imagine how complex and how long that took to do that, incorporating beads and cabochons and holy moly, and rings and earrings and all kinds of things. So eye candy if nothing else, but I'm telling you, talk about inspiration. That is some serious inspiration. So hopefully we have given you some idea of what is wire wrapping and what is wire sculpting, was wire tying, because it's all kind of the interchangeable names for the same activity. And so I want to thank you for coming and joining me today to answer what is. And so thanks. That was cool.
How about that? Yeah, I thought it was cool.
All right. So we'll see you again in the next video. And stay tuned, because there's lots more where this is coming from. We'll see you again before long. I'm Barb, Owen. This is Clausman from HowToGetCreative.com. Come over and check us out, because remember to get creative today, because you know what? It's easy, right? And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Goodbye.